Welcome to the Biochemistry Clinic. My name is Jinthon, and today we are looking at cholesterol metabolism. There are a few things that we need to clear from our previous discussion on cholesterol metabolism. Now, our focus is on a few questions that were asked. The first question is, what is the importance of the enzyme HMG-CoA reductase in cholesterol metabolism? Now, there are a lot of things that were brought out, and there are a few aspects that I would really want us to focus on. First of all, we have to understand the role that is played by cholesterol in our bodies. We also have to understand why we need a certain amount of cholesterol. So this enzyme HMG-CoA reductase is actually the key controlling enzyme, meaning that the activity of this enzyme HMG-CoA reductase is very critical in the amount of cholesterol that is going to be produced. So if the activity is low, you expect low amounts of cholesterol. If the activity of HMG-CoA reductase is high, you expect high levels of cholesterol. Now we know that low levels of cholesterol could have consequences. High levels also could have consequences. So the activity or control of this enzyme HMG-CoA reductase is very critical in this aspect, because it determines how much cholesterol is going to be produced. So that is the importance of the enzyme HMG-CoA reductase. It is there to ensure that the right amounts of cholesterol are produced, because less cholesterol could have consequences and more cholesterol could also have consequences. But there is another aspect that was brought about in our previous clinic on the issue of inhibition of HMG-CoA reductase using drugs such as statins. Now, the question that was asked had to do with the mechanism of action, how these drugs inhibit and things like that. Mostly, the example that was given was that of statins, which are competitive inhibitors, meaning that these drugs compete for the same active site on the enzyme with the substrate. So if this is your enzyme and it has an active site, so in order for you to have product, a substrate needs to bind or sit on the active site so that you form the enzyme substrate complex or the ES complex. Now, when you have an inhibitor, the competitive inhibitors will compete for this same active site. So they will compete for this same active site with the substrate. And most of the times, these drugs or these inhibitors have a higher affinity for this enzyme active site. So meaning that the chances of this inhibitor here binding to the active site of the enzyme here becomes higher than the chances of the active substrate binding to the active site. And once the inhibitor binds to this active site, what you are going to notice is that there are conformational changes that occur in this enzyme, and these conformational changes affect or compromise the activity of the enzyme. Therefore, the binding of the enzyme to the substrate is compromised, and hence this enzyme is not going to work on the substrate accordingly. thereby reducing the production of cholesterol in this case. So if this step is disturbed, it means that HMG-CoA will not be converted to the next product, and that means you are not going to have as much cholesterol as you need. So basically, those are a few things that I wanted us to quickly address. The two concerns that were raised on the importance of the enzyme HMG-CoA reductase in cholesterol metabolism, and how we can use drugs to inhibit the activity or the function of HMG-CoA reductase in order to control high levels of cholesterol. For instance, in hypercholesterolemia, where you have too much cholesterol in the body. So you can use these drugs to inhibit the function of this enzyme in order to manage the amount of cholesterol that is produced. So basically, I think that is what I needed to address. So for any questions, again, you can simply do the same, drop your questions, and then we will address them in the next clinic.